Hello and welcome back to the BrosBTalking. This is House of Dragons Season 2, Episode 2 review. I'm joined today by
Bobby, it's me, Drift BGS.
the main man himself.
I think you misread that. I'm actually the mini man,
Half man,
half
Tyrion
man.
Lannister. What?
Yeah,
um, well, I'm about to say we sort of jump straight into the review of the king losing his absolute shit.
yes, he destroys the model.
Yeah, do you know what? I was one because I remember when I saw the model, I remember thinking to myself, I was like, I wonder what happened to that, to why it's not there. And I just assumed in season one when I saw it, I was like, oh, there must be like a massive raid on the castle or something like that. But that that very much makes sense. And he's obviously bloody distraught and just angry.
Yeah, I mean his kid got his head sawn off. Pretty brutal.
Yeah, and then he literally, and then at the end of that like beginning scene, he says like, "I declare war," and I think that is where we can we say that the war's officially started from him saying that.
I think so. Yeah, I mean I don't know if they're actually gonna deliver terms or anything. I think yeah, I'd say
But more so like, will the fighting almost begin? Because it's almost like everyone's sort of like ramping up and finding out who's going to back who, but no one's like really sort of like, obviously there's been two deaths, but they've not been in a fighting scenario, and they've both been children that's been killed.
yeah.
So yeah, no, I do think that is this could be a potential start, but then I think realistically, we like, did it start when Amon's eye got taken, or did it start when Luke got killed, or does it start with this beheading? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think
So yeah, definitely a lot of blurred lines. Um, One question I did have for you is, when we go off to the small council next, and he's still like, the king's still raging and stuff. Um, One of the people there is from the Citadel.
yes.
Um, I have I don't I have this hunch, and I just don't know if you might have it as well. Is I think that he might turn on them,
Why do you think that?
because every time there's something going on, he almost looks like, do you know what I mean? He just looks like somebody who's not necessarily agreeing with what's going on. A little bit like with Eric, one of the Kingsguard twins. When you could see on his face where he was battling, like he was like, "Nah, this is wrong." Then eventually he was like, "Right," and then he switched sides.
Yeah.
I see that happen. Maybe even like later on down the line, or because something that yeah, there's just something about him. I feel like he's not fully um fully committed to the High Towers, or the current kings.
No, he always looks a bit uncomfortable, doesn't he, in their little meetings?
Yeah, it was just something I jotted down. It was just something I was a bit like, like, it was something like, if you were next to me, I'd probably have gone, does he look like he's not comfortable there?
Yeah, yeah. And so Otto is trying to use the situation to their advantage, and he's being pretty heartless, isn't he? He's like, "Oh, guys, don't worry, I'm pretty sad, but anyway, what are we doing next?"
See, I've been an active person of not liking Otto, but I got to admit, in this scenario with what's going on, you got to use it to your advantage. It is a horrible situation, but time is very precious. You can't wait like a week and then sort of go, right, we're going to act like this. You've got to decide what your retaliation is, what the response is, and I think I think it was actually quite. It was a smart idea. But what are your thoughts on it? Because I've been that you might not be as keen on the idea.
Oh no, I did respect the hustle. He's getting in, he's telling them that we need to display the child to show their sort of barbarity. They've also, they blew up the Sept of Balor, so will work against them, will turn the small folk against them. I do respect that, and I do think it was a pretty reasonable, idea
Yeah,
overall.
no, I think that he has the right mindset, right mindset of how to deal with it. But I think the problem is with this small council is definitely like compared to Rhaenyra's there's one drive, there's one goal. I feel like within this small council there's a few different playing parts, and like some of them are there due to fear, not loyalty. Anybody who's with Rhaenyra is that they're through loyalty because they're actually sort of openly rebelling against the current crown.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, no, I don't know about you, but when we go, when we go off to the scene of when the carriage is like going through, and like the guy sort of going around saying, "Oh, it's Rhaenyra, the imposter that's done this," and
Yeah,
then when the carriage gets stuck, all of a sudden, I had a little bit of a Game of Thrones Joffrey vibe. When the mob attacked him.
yeah,
I think I misread that. Like
yeah,
lots of
because they
them
were
were sort of like
supportive.
crying out, but it was a bit. I was a bit like, oh shit! Like, are they gonna get killed here or something?
No, but it just showed how well that sort of propaganda is working against Rhaenyra, didn't it?
Well, yeah, and but then also like lots of those people will be there like, oh yeah, all hail the king, and then as soon as he's around the corner, be like, yeah, what not? But
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
it's just smart when you see the king to smile and wave.
No, exactly. The next thing I've got on here written down. So first off, no one wanted to go on the parade, which I do understand not wanting to show off your beheaded son, which is very sad. But they manned up and they went with the plan. But I've written down, dude went real soft once captured, didn't he? One of the rough assassins, big
Yeah,
guy.
I do. I 100%. He did good. He did good very soft, very quick. But also at the same time, he knows there's no one coming in to come save him.
Yeah, true.
So it's just better to and he was sort of smart to not get it drawn out of him. He's very much like I think Varys is very known.
Yeah,
Is that his name? The
not
one with the
Varys.
club foot.
Yeah, the clubfoot
Yeah,
guy. I did write
I
his
think
name.
he's getting very
Varys, yeah.
well known as somebody like you don't really want to fuck with because he's quite like enjoys torturing people and very good at getting information out of people.
Yeah, he is pretty dodgy, isn't he? But and then he's killed by the king, isn't he? The assassin,
Yeah, no, I
maced.
think that was a good bit of justice, to be fair.
It was, and then Alison and Otto kind of repair their relationship a bit, don't they? Throughout this episode, they kind of get chatting one on one.
Yeah, I think they both do love and care for each other. I don't think it is like fate. Like there is like proper love and care. That's not always the case between families.
No,
It definitely was in this show, but yeah, no, I do think that there is um there is something there, and then like Alison turns around to Otto and says, like, "Oh, I feel like we're being punished," and he's like, "Well, like what for?" And she doesn't really like say anything.
yeah,
But obviously she's probably referring to the whole deal with Sir Kristen.
yeah, shagging Sir Christian on the side. Talking of shagging, then Damon and Rhaenyra, they get into a bit of a lovers' quarrel, don't they?
Well, yeah, because Rhaenyra declares her innocence, and I put in brackets here. It does look like she would be behind the attack from an outsider's perspective,
It does.
and then it's almost like she looks across the room and sort of goes, "Oh, for God's sake, Damon! Like, what's happened?" Um, Now, I think it's interesting because Damon's a very hard character to be able to read and understand. I just I don't know if in my heart, I think he is truly devoted to her, but I can see why people would think that he would potentially is almost plotting for himself, and it's just the long game.
Yeah, I've written down here he does what he wants and is a bit, and he reveals that he is a loose cannon. He's like, look, I do what I want, and I think he
He
likes
owns it.
Rhaenyra. He does own it. I think ultimately though he just wants shit to happen, doesn't he? He's bored. He he's enjoying this sort of state of war, and he's
Well, and he just sort of he wants to start it, and he wants to sort of know what's going on, because I almost feel that like in the war that's sort of his element, but when it's the calm before the storm and stuff, that's probably when he's actually most additive.
yeah agitated. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the one. Sorry.
yeah. I mean, he's the kind of guy. I've said this before. You don't really want him on your team, but at the same time, he is useful to have on your team. Like he wouldn't listen to anything you say, and would always get into trouble. But when it comes down to it, if if he is on your side, he is useful. It's
Yeah,
just
100%. You would rather have him on your side than not on your side. And let's not forget that I know it was a while ago and we've had lots of time jumps, but he is pretty much the reason they beat the Crab King.
yeah, true. He went a bit ham, didn't he, and drew him
And,
out
and,
of his
and
little
the
hole.
Crab King was they were doing bits against them, and he was just there like, right, like we keep sort of getting battered here, like we just got to go for it. And I think that sort of mindset will come in handy for him later.
Yeah. He chucks on his armor, doesn't he? And he heads out. He heads out to cause stuff, and that's the last we see of him this episode.
Yes, it is. Um,
Then we're
so then,
back in King's Landing, aren't we?
no, see the thing is, I was trying to look because I can never remember her name. You know, the son of Damien and his ex-wife who died.
Yep.
Um, she talks to Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra basically says to her like, "You need to keep an eye on King's Landing,
Yeah.
to like fly over and to let us know if there's any movement." You like, because obviously they're outnumbered with army wise, but they're using their advantage of the dragons to be able to get information to and from each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's quite an advantage, isn't it?
Oh yeah, what 100%. And I think that they've done very well at sort of nullifying why you can't just use dragons all the time.
Yeah.
Like dragons are powerful, but you can't just sort of rock on up there with like King's Landing with like 3 or 4 dragons, and not expect them to get eaten by Vhagar or hit by scorpions.
Yeah. Yeah. I've noted down here when we are back in King's Landing that Aegon doesn't even look at Helena when he walks past her on the stairs. I think it kind of shows how upset he is because we were talking about how he was kind of like a good dad, even if he was a bit
Well,
weird.
I think that I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think that I think he's actually a little bit embarrassed, because one thing that he does seem to say quite a lot is, "I don't want to be seen as weak." He wants to be strong, and like I think he does genuinely like have that courage. And he was the one that when she was there, like, "Oh, I'm worried," he was like, "No, like don't worry, like they're not going to attack us." Like I just said, like with Vhagar and the Scorpions being there. And she's like, "Oh no, the rats." And maybe he remembers that comment, and he's there like, "Shit, like, hang on, like maybe you were onto something, and I've just dismissed you, and we've lost our son to that."
Yeah,
Um, but no, I think that was a good spot from you, from them not making eye contact. Did she look at him?
she did. Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay. Because
but
I was about to say it'd be a little bit different if they both ignored each other.
yeah, it would. But like you said, he goes like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll protect you. I'll protect you." all this. He was just warming up to being king and stuff, and this shit's all happened. So I think he's in his own head at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, what 100%. Talking about people being in their own heads, I think Alison is Alison is very much like that. Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, but she's been having less and less squires.
Yeah.
And then now she's down to one, and she will watch them make the bath.
Yeah.
Because she is paranoid and like she doesn't know who to trust, and she has like Sir Kristen to wait outside.
Yeah, like he didn't when protecting the prince and princess because he was shagging her. They're still shagging. Can't believe it.
I know.
Put it away.
Top shagger, Sir Kristen.
Yeah, he likes royalty. I think that's his kink. That's the only thing that he seems to go for.
Oh, but I put in brackets here, bro. Sir Kristen just being a dick, talking about the importance of the white cloak. You know when he's arguing with the other twin.
Yeah. Well, I wrote here that it looks like he feels guilty, but he's more worried about saving his own skin. So he's starting to be a prick because that's what happens. You feel it, you feel guilt, but then you're trying to protect yourself. So you feel shitty, and you're also trying to get away with shit. So you're just gonna be a dick to everyone.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Well, what that actually leads to, I think you've almost just answered my next question. Is do we think Sir Kristen was actually questioning him?
No, because it wasn't he meant to be on duty. So he was kind of like, well, I was doing something else. So like, why weren't you covering me? I
Well,
think,
no, he was saying that he was guarding Alison.
yeah,
But he's like questioning him like, oh, like where were you and stuff like that. And I was there like, is that more of if he doesn't ask, people might be like, has the Christian like questioned anyone? But he, as you said, he's almost overcompensating and fucking accusing everyone because he sort of knows that it could have been them because he wasn't being vigilant enough. But no, I think he very much do as I say, not as I do.
he is, And I just had a funny thought that your answer, if you were Arik, is you'd be like, mate, I wasn't on the rotor. I was chilling. I wasn't on the rotor.
I'd literally be there like it was my day off. Like I don't even know what you're on about.
Yeah, it was my day off. I wasn't on the rotor. You can't update the rotor. I've told you this, Cole. You can't update the stupid rotor the night before. I won't see it. Stop fucking around. Don't know why you keep doing this. Midnight, you change the rotor. It's as if you're shagging someone or something, and he's like,
Yeah, I'm there like I swear you're too close to payroll. You are.
yeah. So, so
Right.
I've written down here that he guilts one of the twins into doing a suicide mission because that's basically what he does.
Yeah, no, he does. And what I did, I'll tell you what, I sort of thought we might see them fight, and I was sort of looking forward to that because we've only really seen Sir Kristen in two fights, and one he literally like punched a man to death, and then the other one he got beaten up by punches.
Yeah.
Like, so I've not actually seen him in a sword fight yet. So we're still BrosBTalking is still uncertain if Sir Kristen can actually bang. Well, hang on.
He bangs.
he bangs, but we're not sure if he can, like, defend himself with a weapon sword.
Well, he did beat Damon in the first episode.
Wasn't that on horseback though?
Well, they kind of dismounted. He had like a flail, so they weren't quite sword fighting one on one. He was like using a different weapon, and it was quite scrappy. Like it could have gone either way.
Well, I look forward to seeing that rematch. I might actually have to go back and watch a clip of that. I completely forgot about that. We then move on to one of my favourite characters, Amond, and he's in the brothel with the well, pardon my language, with the whore who he lost his virginity to.
Legend.
And he says he regrets what happened with Luke. I think there is still that very human, empathetic side.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think that I got to say, with all of Alicent's and the Lake King's children, they all do actually seem to have a bit of kindness within them.
Yeah, because Alicent and the old king, they're
That
not
that
actually dicks.
No, they're both like, say what you want about Addison and maybe some of her morals and stuff like that, but on the whole, like she is a good is a good mum, and she's sort of like quite like polite and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so and they also grew up in really, well, for those times, very easy times.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, he feels
So
bad about it. He feels bad about the eye thing. He feels bad about it all. So fair play to him, and he knows because he discovered the door, didn't he? So he knows that they were actually coming for him and not the prince. Because
yeah, and I remember what when I was watching it, right? I was there like, I was like, please find Aemon. I was there like, you two are both gonna die. Like, Aemon's a very good swordsman. That is very well known. Like, Aemon don't need his biggest dragon. He will literally just kill you himself.
yeah, and they only had like little knives. It's like, bro, what are you gonna do if you run into a king's guard with his armor and sword, or even Aemond who might have a sword on him?
I tell you what, as much as the plan is flawed, it definitely had results.
Well,
That's all I'm
exactly.
gonna say. Damon definitely got results. Talking about how he got those results, you know, it was via the ex spy,
Yep, the white
um,
snake.
the White Snake. Thank you. The White Snake and Rhaenyra talking, and the White Snake remembers Rhaenyra from when she lost her virginity to Daemon in season 1, and I think that was a little bit of shock on her eye of like, oh shit.
Yeah, yeah.
But she didn't really rat her out like too much, did she?
No,
It was like she sort of said a comment, and then I think that was sort of it. My one question for you in this scene is: do you trust the White Snake?
I'm not sure. I still think she might be a double agent, or at least working for her own gain. It's too weird. Too weird. She seems too powerful to be skulking around like that.
Do you know she remind? I think the reason why I have a little bit of wariness towards her is she reminds me of Shay from season 4 of Game of Thrones.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah,
The one that was with
Tyrion.
Tyrion, and then
Yeah,
betrays him. So I do get that vibe. So I think that I think we're both sort of on the same page there. But if I had to sway one way, it'd be 51%. I trust her,
same, same. I
but I
would
wouldn't.
trust her.
I trust her at an arm's length. You know, like you can have a drink with me, but like I'm not going to turn my back. You know.
No, exactly. And then I've got listed here just a couple of quick things before we get to the sort of main event of the episode. So
Okay.
Jason Baylor Bond. So that's the two. You know when she's got the crossbow and they're chatting, and then
Yeah.
Aelin and his brother hang out. They're being set up, I imagine, as characters later on in the season or whatever. And then Hugh Hammerhand. So Hugh comes up again, doesn't he? Because his daughter's sick, and he was the guy that asked um, Aegon for extra steel work. So he's appeared in 2 episodes now. He
Yeah, no, I think that's a good spot. I think that he is going to play a bigger part. I think people like that I always see as the people that could be key turning points if they did betray.
yes, yeah,
And I think we are going to see a lot of betrayal within this season. And I just want to figure it out before it happens.
no, exactly. And then I've got the rat catchers. He's been hung. It shows him being hung. The
Yeah,
dog had the
I was
last
about to say,
laugh.
I got that written down as well. I said we see all the rat catchers hanged, but luckily they did get the right one. But I have put in little brackets that the dog was sad, and I thought that it was sweet that even how badly he treated the dog, that the dog still cared and loved for him. So
Yeah, he was a good boy.
that was a little cute moment whilst they were all hanging.
Yeah, exactly. And then Otto is betrayed, and Cole is made the hand of the king for some reason. I think that was just brohood that came through. He was like, Cole's a cool
well,
dude.
I was about to say, like, just before going on to that about literally like the same part as I was just saying that, like, because he also like loses it at the king for killing all the rats, and then the king was there like, fuck dignity, I want death, and then when basically the king turns around and they're like, well, my dad wanted me to be king, and then Otto literally just laughs at him, and then obviously as you said, the bromance of the king and Sir Kristen. But I'm not sure how long that will last when he knows he's been banging his mum.
That's what ruins many bromances, sadly. I
It
should know.
happens to the best of us.
Yeah. I'm constantly banging mums.
So, what did you think about that change, and do you think that's a good or a bad change? I personally believe, when Otto sort of like loses, I think you realise how much Otto's actually keeping that family together and on top.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I think it's a bad change. I think it's a fun change. I mean, stuff's gonna kick off, but you
Yeah,
know.
no, I think I agree. I agree with you on there. Um,
And
the
then the
Sorry,
White
you go.
Snake, she's leaving the island, and she spots a double of Eric and doesn't say anything to anyone, and that is not a story point that she spots him.
Well, she does stop, and you don't see her walk back down, do we? We just see her stood still. So, as well, and as we know from later on in the episode, that she clearly doesn't get to Rhaenyra first. But she's very vigilant because when she got saw by Eric, the other twin, the
Yeah.
first thing she said was that she was like, "Last time I saw you, there was two of you." Like, I think she's very, for some reason, she must be the only person in the world that can tell the bloody difference between them.
Well, exactly. Then Eric makes it way up. He gets well deep into their into the castle.
It did. Do you know what? When I first heard it, I was like, "This is stupid." But then when I did see him like walking up to the gate, I'm there like, "It is his twin brother. It's not like someone he just looks like." That's, you know what I mean. They probably do and say the same things like when they were like, "Oh, aren't you meant to be down there?" And he's like, "Oh, you're very vigilant."
Yeah, I mean, if I was captain of the guards, I'd pull everyone aside. I'd be like, right, we're having a meeting, and I'd be like, guys, if another twin makes it that fucking deep into the castle, I'm gonna have all your heads on spikes. That's outrageous. One of you even said, I thought you were inside the building, and the guy went, well, you're an idiot, and you went, oh, yeah, sorry, sir. What are you doing?
The problem is that he's so high up that no one can really question him. Um,
That's why
and
you got to
then
look at the rotor. That's why you got to look at the rotor. You got to see who's on.
you got to see if Sir Christian has changed the fucking rotor.
Yeah, exactly. Eric
Even
Eric
though
was meant to be
he
on.
he's in charge of both rotors. He's that much of a snake.
Yeah, he's actually running all the rotors, and he put Eric on in the throne room. So what's he doing outside?
Oh my god! I tell you what, we need to get Sir Christian onto the show. Talking about Sir Christian and the actor, just a very quick comment that I did. I told this to you the other day, but I just think it just needs to be said that he's had to delete his personal accounts because people have been hating on him. I just want to say, if you're hating on him, you're an absolute idiot. Like, it just shows what a good actor he is. Like, he's acting; it's a bloody script.
Well,
Grow up.
I think this is an actual issue. I'm sorry to younger people. I'm so sorry, but I don't want to sound like an old grumpy person. But for some reason, sort of slightly younger than our generation, they can't tell the difference for some reason. Like lots of actors have been like either bullied off social media for their acting, or people were like shocked when they meet the actor and they're like, "You're nothing like the person
See,
you're," and they're like, "What are you talking
I,
about? Of course he isn't."
exactly, and I can understand if somebody doesn't like somebody's acting, but when they're actually like, oh, I really don't like him, and I'm there like, no, like, oh, I'm there like, what? Because he shagged the Queen and Rhaenyra, like, that didn't actually happen.
Yeah. He actually betrayed the Targaryen family. The Targaryens aren't real. I'm sorry.
Right. Anyway, sorry about that little side tangent. It just sort of had to be said. BrosBTalking, tell the haters to grow up. And then we go on to the most confusing fight ever. That there's so much shit that happens in it, but like there's not really much. Like it's pretty brutal. But the only thing I really got is Eric wins the fight and then can't live with the fact just had to kill his twin, so literally falls on his sword. And my man did that very quick. Like I watched it. The second time I watched it, I was there like it'd have been so awkward if he dropped the sword and it hit off to the left or right and he just missed it.
Yeah, and so I thought I was following the right Eric, and then suddenly the other Eric won, and then he turned around and killed himself, and I was like, oh well, I thought he killed himself because he knew that there was no way in medieval times for him to prove that he wasn't Eric, and he was faking being Eric. So
Nah,
basically,
there would have been codes and conversations that they could have asked him about.
that's what I thought, and I was like, now he's gone, oh, I'm sorry, and then killed himself. But you're right, he probably did it out with the shame of having to kill his own brother.
That's fair enough. I'd probably feel pretty peak of that to kill my brother, one of my brothers.
I would too, but if it involved you killing yourself in front of me, I'd be like, for fuck's sake, I'd stop you and be like, Toby, what are you doing? Man, you're like one of our best swordsmen. You're obviously very loyal. You're the only person that can recognize that. You're the only person that would see that maybe if someone has a twin and they see two of them, they should maybe alert the guards.
Well, I think that to be fair, as much as I found it annoying, I think it was brilliant suspense because, as you said, when I got to admit, and it's purely luck, it's a 50-50. When I was watching it, I was trying to follow Eric, and I followed the right one.
Okay.
But that's just because. But there would have been times that I didn't because they pan the camera off on purpose and get them rolling around, and then at one point I'm there like, oh, Eric's got more blood on his face, and then I'm there like, oh no, maybe he doesn't anymore, and then it was all quite confusing, but
It was a good
yeah.
choreographed fight, though, wasn't it? It was very action packed, very
I'm
tense.
just sad that we don't get to. I'd like to have at least seen one of those characters later on. I'd have loved to have seen one of them fight Sir Kristen.
Yeah.
Even if they were to lose, it would build more of a story up to it.
Can I just make a comment about the handmaid that was in the room with Rhaenyra? Useless.
Yeah.
Useless. Again, I'd put her in and be like, you're pointless. At one point, he was bearing his sword at Rhaenyra, and you had a clean run for the door, and you were hiding behind a sofa, being like, "Oh."
Yeah, but you can't abandon the queen. That's just instant death.
Yeah, but she didn't dive in the way of the queen.
No,
I'd be like, run, get a guard.
but what's she gonna? Yeah, but she's struck with fear. I'm gonna have to side with her on this one. I'm sorry, Bob.
No, lame. All my handmaidens would be trained in martial arts.
Right, in the comments, let us know. Could the maid have done anything? And say the maid could have, or the maid couldn't have.
It's in run out the room.
Right.
Run out the room and get a guard. No,
I was about to say get a gun.
Get a gun. No, my handmaiden for Becky, my girlfriend, would be Habib. And
Khabib.
then we'll see. Then we'll see how
Well,
close
hang on.
Eric gets to killing.
What if Khabib's a bit like a Sir Christian, makes it look like he's all sort of very religious and sticks to what he says, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, he's mounting Becky, and what are you gonna do? It's Khabib.
Yeah, true. Maybe he does like an Alison Cole move.
I just don't know if that's the best one, but we'll talk to Khabib and we'll see what we can do. But I've literally got but like two or three more notes here very
Same.
quickly. Is I've got Otto spits facts about Sir Kristen to Alison.
Yep.
And then I have I'll just say my last bit, and then I said Alison walks in on the king crying. And then I think that she, you know what I mean, you can sort of see that she's a bit like, oh shit, well, so I thought. And then literally in the next in the next scene, Alison and Sir Kristen are back at it again.
Yeah.
And then right at the end I wrote, what a day.
No, I know. Yeah. So the Hightowers have their last heart to heart. Aegon is super upset, and then Cole gets laid. What a hero! Get him on
What
the podcast.
what a hero. But good episode. What would you rate it out of 10? We're doing it, aren't we?
Yes, I am going to rate it a 6, 7 on the dot.
I'm gonna go 7.2.
Okay.
I think I think we both have the same sort of thing. Is the reason why it would have been an 8 or a 9 if one of the twins have survived and there was a bit more to that. But the way I see it is all of their stories basically just cancel each other's out. Like this, the whole thing when we were talking before about him and Sir Kristen talking is all useless now.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think that was a good episode, and I'm very looking forward to our episode 3 review. But yeah, and hopefully that'll be able to get a slightly higher score.
Exactly. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.